Hello, this is another do-it-yourself video on how to extract broken off bolts. And I had a bolt that was a M7 by 1 bolt, metric bolt in a Honda outboard motor. And actually when I got the motor, someone who had done work on the motor before, who had changed the water pump or did some servicing to the bottom end, broke this bolt off. And since there were 4 other bolts that weren't broken off, they thought that was okay to leave the broken bolt in there and not put it back or not fix it, even though the thing is designed to have 5 bolts. So anyway, I got it, and that's certainly not acceptable. So I'm removing the broken off bolt. Now, this is kind of a after the fact video, I guess. So what happened was the bolt was broken off flush to this surface right here, and it goes down, it goes into a threaded hole, and there's no, like, you can't see the other side of the hole, so it's a blind hole. So the first thing you do is, if the bolt breaks off flat, that's great, like flat with the surface. If not, grind it flat, and then take a center punch and punch it right in the center of the bolt, the broken off bolt, and then use a small drill bit, wherever it went, depending on the size of the bolt, but you want to start with a small drill bit like this and drill down in the center of the bolt all the way through. Drill down, down, down until you feel it break through the bottom end of the bolt. And you know, we'd hope that there's a gap between the bottom of this bolt and the end of the blind hole, maybe a millimeter or a couple of millimeters. And it so anyway, I drilled down until I felt that. Unfortunately, the end of the drill bit broke off just when that happened. And so I guess that's not really a big deal, because since there's space below here and there, the broken off piece of the drill bit just went down into that space. So now I've got a small hole drilled in this thing, and it's ready to be tapped. So I picked, or not tapped, but use a screw extractor. So what I did was heat this whole area up. Now it is an aluminum housing, it's not a piece of steel. I would not heat it red hot because that would damage the aluminum or warp it maybe. But I heated it up hot enough, like way past where you could hold it with your hand on your fingers. So it was probably, I don't know, 150 degrees maybe Celsius. And then I sprayed penetrating oil on it, and then I let it cool down and heat it up again, and took the flame away and sprayed penetrating oil. And each time you could see bubbles forming around the threads. So either that was boiling out the penetrating oil and during heating, and when I was cooling, it was sucking it in to the threads. So I did that a number of times. The other thing I did too is use just a regular Robertson screwdriver with a flat head on it, and I pounded on the top of, like, just say that's the hole that I drilled, pretend. I'd pound, you know, kind of at various angles inside the screw to just shock it a bit, loosen it up. I did not pound near the edge where the threads are, because if I missed and hit that aluminum right there, it would mushroom the aluminum into the broken off bolt and make my job even harder. So after pounding around at various angles, and when I say pound, I mean just gently tapping, then I gave it a try with the screw extractor. And the big thing is, do not be in a hurry when you're doing this. It's so tempting to just put a lot of strength in this and overpower the bolts and so on. But if you break a drill bit off in this hole you've drilled and you can't punch it through because maybe you haven't drilled through the whole bolt, or if you break a screw extractor off, it's much more difficult to deal with this. So just be patient. And also, these screw extractors are not really strong. Like, they're hard, but that also means they're brittle. So if I wanted to, I know I could snap that right now, but I'm not gonna crank that too hard. I'm just gonna take my time, and you can hear that. And that's like heavy friction on that bolt. So there we go. There we go. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Isn't that nice? I didn't drill through the bolt itself. Actually, I was expecting to see a hole there at the end of this bolt, and it is, but just barely, because I guess I must still have a little piece of the drill bit still in there, the first drill bit. But anyway, I did not damage any of the threads of this bolt as I took it out, which I don't care about this, but which that means that I did not damage any of these threads. The other good news thing is no aluminum came out on this bolt right here, just a little bit of dirt and corrosion, but that also suggests that these threads, the female threads, are in healthy condition. Before I started the video, I took my time getting the first couple of turns going. I bet you I probably took almost 5 minutes of just heating, spraying penetrating oil, and then turning that handle until I heard the first, like, noise. I don't know, that noise you hear when the screw actually turns in the threads. I would turn it until I'd hear one of those noises, and then I would take the screw extractor out, and then I would pound all around the top of that bolt just gently to free it up, go through the penetrating oil and the heating process, and all told this took probably 15 minutes to get this out. But that is so much better than if I'd broken a screw extractor off or a drill bit off in there, or drilled more. Like, what you don't want to do is when you're drilling, drill off to the side. That's the whole reason why you grind it flush and then put a center punch in it, so that you can drill straight. Take as much time as you need to drill carefully, and also be very patient when you're heating and cooling and using penetrating oil, and that will be hopefully your result. And then there are times when you try your best and it still breaks off, but this time it worked out great, so hopefully it works for you.